New York 845.
Hello?
Hello, Sam.
Hey, how you doing, Johnny?
Hey, how's it going, Sam?
I'm doing great. Hey, let's get started. I just want to jump right into this podcast because I'm so excited.
Awesome.
Well, Johnny, I have been following your work for so long, and I am fighting the urge to fanboy out. I have grown up on the Jerky Boys. I've grown up, I've actually, with the Family Guy and everything else. The Jerky Boys movie came out in '95. The reason I know that is because my brother snuck me into that movie, and I had no idea what it was about. And after that, you encouraged a lot of bad behavior from '95, well, till today. So thanks so much, Johnny.
I appreciate that. And a lot of people did that, and it did. It actually, it's funny. This is the 25th anniversary.
And I got to be honest, I want to show my son. My son is 7, but I'm like, dude, I don't want to repeat history.
Yeah. It's funny. My stuff, when you look at it really, it's all right, granted, Frank Rizzo, when Frank gets pissed off and he's talking, should I bring my fucking toolbox? He's dropping, an F-bomb here or there, but there's nothing gratuitous. I don't get out there and just, curse for the hell of cursing. So when you think about it, my characters, there's not really a whole lot of stuff that, and you can actually pick skits that you wouldn't mind kids hearing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to have to do, mainly because, well, let's just jump right into it. The album comes out on Black Friday. The Jerky Boys, this is your first album in over 20 years. Now,
right.
I got the promo copy, and I'm listening to it, and I'm laughing. And, I'm just sitting there laughing because it made me feel good. It was, in a way, the best way I could put it, it was nostalgic but not old. I got it. It was updated. It was good, but I got a chance to hear some of my favorite characters on top of, just kind of like some of the newer stuff.
Yeah, and I'm very, very happy to say that. I've been working on Family Guy for the last, almost 20 years now, and so the Jerky Boys, I've done commercials over the years with the Jerky Boys. I've worked with Lee Jeans Corporation, Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser. So the Jerky Boys have been there. They've always been there. But, it's true. It's just nice. It took me a lot of years to get back at it. And, the creator of Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane, he too has been asking for years. He's like, Johnny, come on, man, we need another record out here. So it took a while, but, you got to feel it. It's the kind of thing where you can't, you got to just feel good about, just doing it for yourself and then let it spill over into the public.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about Family Guy just a tad bit because you are the voice of Mort Goldman, which is pretty much Saul Rosenberg's. I would say they got to be related in some way.
Yeah, we kid around. We call him Saul's long lost cousin. But Saul Rosenberg is very, 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 I'd say a lot slower and a lot quieter. Where like Saul would be like, should I bring all my shoes and my glasses so I have them? And then Mort Goldman, I made him purposely a little bit more amped up. Hey, Peter, hello, Peter. Lois, what's going on? So he's just, people say, oh my God, that's Johnny Brennan. But you can definitely tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, it's a different in moods, but one thing Mort does that I love, and I kind of sound like an idiot sometimes when I try to point it out to my wife, Mort makes a lot of Jerky Boys references.
Yes.
Some of the slang or some of the things you said, is that done purposely, or do you have a favorite reference that Mort would do?
Well, it's actually in the script, Seth, since he's very young kid, he was always a gigantic fan of my work at the Jerky Boys. So Seth, when they wrote the scripts, they actually write some of the Jerky Boys anecdotes and antics and some of the Jerky Boys catchphrases right into the script because it would be perfect for me to perform it. So, for example, in I think it's Road to Germany, in Road to Germany, we get into an argument, and my classic ass neck comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him, I think I said, "Shut up, Stewie," or "Shut up, Brian. It's a real thing." Because they're asking ass neck. What the hell's an ass neck? So so yeah, a lot of that over the 19 years, 20 years has been worked into the Family Guy reading and script.
But one cool thing about your career, especially how it evolved and to some degree is coming full circle, like the Jerky Boys was at one of the brilliance of it. They got this good intersection of shock comedy, funny, and just basic humor interaction. Now we're seeing it again on platforms like TikTok and prank shows on YouTube and stuff like that. How do you view it? Do you view it like, oh, this is a new generation, or is it more of the same?
It's just a different way, I guess, because if you look back in time, when I did what I did, I created all these characters, and I got them interacting with other human beings in phone situations, and we didn't even have the computers yet. I mean, the computers were not, the internet. I mean, we had computers, of course, but we didn't have the internet. We didn't have anything like what we have out there today. So I think that what it did, like you said, it came full circle, and now the Jerky Boys fits perfectly into this whole new way of communicating.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about that, because if you add it up, probably over 30 years of not just the Jerky Boys or not just Family Guy or just your career as a whole, when you look at it, when you go back and you do a project like this, I always was curious, has your popularity ever caught up with you? Like, you make a call and someone says, like, "Oh, I know who that is. You're one of the Jerky Boys," or "You're this is Salt," and like some super fan like me would know that voice.
Right, and it's happened to me numerous times, but people, what they think, they don't actually think that it would be a real Jerky Boys call, but what they do say is they say, "Mikey, is this you?" Or they think it's a brother or a cousin or somebody trying to do Jerky Boys. So, so I get a lot of that. And it's funny, on this brand new release coming out on Black Friday, there's actually a guy who recognizes me as Frank Rizzo, and he brings it up. But I just wouldn't come out of character. I just kept going, and I was actually doing Frank Rizzo, and I just kept it going and make believe I didn't really know what he was talking about. He's like, "Yeah, oh my God, you sound just like Frank Rizzo. You remember that guy?" Or he says, "You remember the Jerky Boys?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that was some funny shit." And I just keep going on and on with the conversation, like I just don't acknowledge what he's saying, and it's actually pretty funny.
Now, one of the characters that I like, because if you're talking about a character that just aged well over time, is Jack Torres. Jack Torres has been, well, is still kind of like a gay icon, LGBTQ plus icon before that was a thing. And to some degree, Jack Torres was like the original hipster. Every time you talk to him, everything was old hat to him. He's been there, done that, bought the t-shirt,
Yes, Jack Torres. That's the original diva. RuPaul, I got a chance to do RuPaul's show years ago. And RuPaul he said the same thing. He's like, "Man, such a huge fan." He actually had all of my CDs. He wanted me to sign them. And this is going back years. And so, yeah, they always said Jack Torres was the original diva. And it was true. I just fashioned him to be that way. I fashioned him to be just an arrogant son of a gun. Just everything, like you just said. Everything is old hat. Nothing impresses Jack. And that's the way to this day that character still is.
Now, one of the things about this, and I'm always curious of this, especially you've been producing comedy for over 30 years. And granted, you've been doing it sometimes behind the scenes, sometimes as the Jerky Boys. We talked about Family Guy, and sometimes, different projects here and there. And we're grown, we got kids. Do your kids appreciate what you're doing, or is it just kind of like, oh, just dad playing on the phone again?
Yeah, it's kind of like because they live with me, and I got to be dad, so I'm not always the nicest guy, and you gotta raise them. You can't be their friend. You gotta raise kids. So they kind of don't even pay attention. They know about what I've done, and I got a 25-year-old girl, and I have a 17-year-old girl. So they're both basically like, they roll their eyes, or they're like, oh, gee, here he goes. They come to the signings with me, and if I do any signings or, autographs or things like that, they're very helpful. One of them will take pictures, another one will be supplying, whatever I need, 8x10s, things like that. So they're helpful.
But at no time they're helpful. But at no time they're like, oh, well, that's just cool. No, that's just dad, right?
Yeah, I don't think personally, I don't think they really give it much thought, but I'm sure, of course, that they appreciate it. I'm sure, but like I said, it goes way back, way back before them.
Of course, I get it. It's just like it's a part of you.
Yeah, because right, because they're born and then they come into it, and then so it's just been part of their lives. So they've known it the whole time. Like I said, we were at the Grammys, and that's when I found out, that my wife was pregnant with our oldest daughter. So, and time flies, man. It just flies. But like I said, they enjoy coming to when I do shows and stuff. They enjoy coming and seeing the show and things like that.
Now, one thing I've always enjoyed about your comedy and one thing that you were like adamant to kind of tiptoe away from, because what you do isn't pranks. They aren't pranks. They're extreme Meisner level character work, and a lot of these characters come from family and friends.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yes, actually, that's a very good point. And what you said is so true. And you can hear it on every one of the albums, and you can even hear it on the brand new CD. It's the same idea of what you're talking about, that level of concentration or that level of improv that, but I stay in the character, and that people have asked me over all these years, how do you not laugh? And I say, because for me, it's not about being funny. So, for example, I always give this example. When Sal gets up to go see if he still has a chainsaw that this woman wants to purchase, Sal says, let me look and see if I have the chainsaw. So I take a terrible fall, and I'm on the floor, and I'm just like, oh boy, and I just keep moaning and screaming from, now I'm across the room, and the lady's on the phone going, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you want me to call an ambulance? And see, that would be the perfect spot for me to be hysterical. But the fact of the matter is, it's in my brain, it's in real time, it's really happening. Saul just fell. It looks like he broke his leg and a piece of the bone sticking out and all this other bullshit. So I stay in it. And what it is, over the years, you can hear me when I stop rolling and I hit the buttons and it skips over. Then you'll hear me maybe do a chuckle.
I got it. Yeah, that's what I was always wondering. I was like, when do you snap out of it? And I have heard that over the years on some of the albums, and especially like this album. The new one, Jerky Boys. This is the first self-titled Jerky Boys album. What made you just go, all right, this is who we are. This is what this album is called, instead of like a, goofy name along the way like you've been doing with the other albums?
Well, I'll tell you what. It's very awesome that you recognize that. My very first record, the very first one that was made from tracks from the bootleg, was also called the Jerky Boys. So my idea was to go back to the beginning, go back to like almost to pay homage, to Frank Rizzo and where it all started. So that's why I came out with this particular record, and it's the same concept. You see on the cover Frank Rizzo, and this time he's got a ratchet in his hand instead of a wrench, and he's in space. He's out in outer space. and it's just Frank in your face in outer space. And by the way, it's the original artist, Sean Taggart. So Sean's been with me over all these decades, and he agreed to do this cover as well. So if you look at the cover, it matches the album perfectly. It's upbeat. It's optimistic. It's Frank out in space. And I said, there can be no other name, except the Jerky Boys. And didn't want a number, didn't want any of that, no numbers. But it was just a fascinating way to come full circle. And we made a little joke, me and Sean, that all those years ago, 35, 40 years ago, you see Frank Rizzo on the cover of the Jerky Boys, and he's holding a wrench. And I said, this time, Sean, we're going to have Frank Rizzo again on the cover by himself, except he's going to be holding a freaking ratchet. And because that's what he says in the skit, I'll wrap your fucking head in with a ratchet. So
I didn't pay attention to that until you just said that.
Yeah, now you'll see it now on the new cover. You'll see it. It came out. It's fantastic.
Now, one thing I love to ask anyone, pretty much, especially someone who loves what they're doing, and you've been loving it for the last 30 some odd years. What advice would you give to someone who just want to play on the phone now, who just want to make their friends laugh or do whatever it is they want to do, because you've made such a good success out of it? What advice would you give to the newer generation who may be experimenting with that type of stuff?
Well, today it's overwhelming. Today there are so many platforms that they can do this kind of thing, and a lot of people, they I don't know. I'm sure that what they would do is they'd film it and get it on TikTok, or they would do things along that nature where they're using the internet to their advantage. Because remember, I didn't have any of that. All we had in those days was word of mouth, and my viral is when people would take a cassette tape, one of my cassette tapes, the Jerky Boys, and they would make 5 or 10 of them and either sell them to their friends or give them out to their friends, and the rest would do it again and again and again until it became the largest bootleg in history, and still went on to sell many multi-platinum CDs. But I would say to anyone, if they're good at something and their friends think they're funny, or they have a natural talent at something, if you got something there, go for it.
It makes sense. Johnny, I don't want to eat up too much of your time. I thank you for calling to the podcast. I got to ask, I want people to get in touch with this, mainly because I want them to, whatever platform it's on, whether it be Sirius, Spotify, Apple, whatever you got, the Jerky Boys album comes out Black Friday. Is it cool if we play a couple of cuts so people get a little taste of it before they go get it on Black Friday?
I'm sure that all goes with the record label, the record company. They make up all those. I don't have any issues. I'm thinking. I was also, if I could mention, I was told to mention this on Black Friday. I'm doing a virtual show on the release day, so people can actually tune in, and they can get the tickets at. It's called rushtix.com.
Okay, great. I'll make sure. I'm pretty sure they'll have you post on your social media. I'll make sure I recopy it or retweet it. Make sure people get it, and they can be involved with that. But I love the album.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, and it's TIX, rushtix.com. And also, too, if I could mention, my cameos are freaking, people are loving them because they can actually pick whatever character they want. And I do, the whole thing where you do somebody's birthday or a Christmas greeting or anything you want. And you pick whatever character you want. And so that's been a lot of fun, too. So that's cameo.com. And it's /Jerky Johnny Brennan. Cameo.com /Johnny Brennan.
Okay, now I'll make sure I get that out, too. Because Cameo, that is becoming, I didn't realize how big that's becoming. And quite honestly, having someone like yourself do a quick little Frank Rizzo happy birthday, that goes a long way for people who remember the older days of the Jerky Boys. So, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's fantastic, I got to tell you. And it gets the people because it really is hilarious. A lot of people out there, they actually see some of my cameos and they're like, "Oh my God, Johnny, that one you did is so freaking funny," because of my basically I'm roasting them. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh man, it sounds like it. But Johnny, thank you so much for calling into the podcast. Once again, the album comes out Black Friday, November 27th. Self-titled. It's called the Jerky Boys. Johnny, thank you so much for calling the podcast.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And a big shout out to all the fans out there. And thank you for giving me the time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Have a good one, man.
All right, have a good one.